What up, outsiders? Today's guests are two of my oldest friends. We've been watching movies together for nearly 2 decades now. In theaters, at festivals, at repertory screenings. A lot of my cinematic life has happened alongside these two people. Cristina Cacioppo is a programmer at Nitehawk Cinema, where she curates repertory, cult, and pre-code series that keep film history alive, unruly, and very much in conversation with the present. Caroline Golum is a filmmaker and longtime programmer at Spectacle Theater, one of New York City's most vital independent cinemas. The episode you're going to hear actually started as an Oscars roundup. That was kind of the idea. But when you put three people in a room who care deeply about cinema, not just what's nominated, but what's programmed, preserved, and passed along, you end up somewhere more interesting, way more interesting. We end up talking about repertory culture as resistance, the movies that genuinely moved us this year, why some new releases leave us cold, and why sometimes the most radical thing you can do is screen something from 1932. Let's get into it. Welcome to Outsider In, the podcast where the culture is dictated by outliers and a space where the algorithm doesn't get the last laugh. Welcome, my friends Cristina and Caroline. Thanks for coming to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So, tell people about the Pre-Code series, because I love the idea, and it seems like it's super generative. What have you done so far, and what's coming up next?
Well, the Pre-Code series is called Pre-Code Parade. It's a monthly series of pre-code films, which is, this era of Hollywood that's kind of late 20s into pretty much up to 1934, where the Hays Code was not really being enforced, so you get a lot of salacious material and also some, surprisingly for the time, progressive ideas. Yes, we do it monthly. We're doing it on the second Tuesday of each month. We now have a DJ set. DJ Owen Klein is playing music from the era. We've got our drink special in the bar after, and yeah, people come dressed up. It's really cute. So this will air before March. Well, when is this?
So the Oscars are March 15th, so like not tomorrow, but next Tuesday.
Okay, yeah, that might be the very day we do Girls About Town, which is a George Cukor movie. And then in April, we have Sign of the Cross, which is a DeMille movie that it's like, we're doing it for Easter because it is this sort of like Roman Empire beating up on the Christians. Wonderful gladiator movie.
What kind of films do you program, Cristina, outside of the Pre-Code series?
Yeah, I mean, I think, this being a sort of outsider podcast, I think is apropos for having Caroline and I on, because secret thing is we both hate new movies.
Yeah, I won't lie. I was going through the questions earlier today to kind of prepare myself. And I was looking at the list of the Best Picture nominees, and I've seen a couple of them.
That's great. I mean,
yeah.
that's the only question that like pertains to anything that's Oscar nominated. Everything else is like, what do you feel about the year, and what do you?
I got a lot to say about the Oscars.
Oh, well, let's go.
Conceptually,
let's go. What you got?
I mean, oh my God, you want to get right into it?
I mean, I'm not the director of this podcast, but I feel like
I'm gonna save it for when we get to the Oscar portion. That's what
Let's pace ourselves. All right. Well, Cristina, you mentioned being an outsider. This is the theme of the podcast. Like, where does your taste lie?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, new movies. It is important for me within my job to have an understanding of new movies. I don't really get involved with the new release schedule because it is sort of dictated by the industry. I will try once in a while to get something in if I really like it, if it's a new thing, an indie thing, but I don't necessarily have influence over that. My, sort of job is more geared towards doing cult stuff, repertory stuff, or special screening type of stuff. The Pre-Code Parade series is part of that at Nitehawk. The other monthly series I do is called Ridiculous to Sublime, which is just outrageous movies of like every different budget and genre. Usually kind of like very bloated action movies or movies with very strange performances or movies that are ripoffs it's like an Italian movie that's trying to do like 5 different genre movies in one. And then, yeah, within that, I also just have different filmmakers coming through for Q&As, different guest speakers, stuff like that.
Anything you're excited about in that particular vein that is coming up at Nitehawk?
Yeah, well, in April, I'm doing a series that I'm calling we're making a movie that's all about movies that are about making low budget movies. So that includes like Cecil B. DeMille, American Movie, Living in Oblivion. And the thing I'm most excited about is it's going to include this documentary called Put the Camera on Me that Darren Stein of who made Jawbreaker. It's a documentary he made about when he was a kid, him and his friends would make like Holocaust dramas and like, action movies. And so this documentary kind of has a lot of that footage and is about them and, him also being like young and gay, sort of like, lording over his friends, kind of like figuring out his identity. And he's going to come for a Q&A for that one. So I'm excited about that.
Sweet. And Caroline, you're a filmmaker, but also you have a very specific taste. Do you want to tell folks what you're up to and what you're into?
Yeah, I mean, right now, most of my programming is revolving around working with Cristina on Pre-Code Parade. And what that labor entails is me watching a pre-code and then texting her and being like, have you seen this one? And then, yeah, and then we talk about it sometimes, or, watching what we're going to show next. Yeah, I work as a volunteer at Spectacle Theater. I have for a really long time. And the programming there, obviously, it reflects like the composition of the collective because we're a collective effort. And so it changes like from cohort to cohort. And it's been very strong lately. Like we have a lot of volunteers now, more than we've had in the past, and a lot of people programming. So there's a great diversity of programmatic and curatorial ethos at work right now, which I really like. But I do, from time to time, act as kind of like the interlocutor between the theater and somebody who's got a new film out. And we do show a lot of like newer movies, but similar to Christina's taste, it's less about what's dictated by the industry and more about like, well, what do what's like an indie or underground thing that you're not going to get to see like somewhere else? Which is not to say that they don't show weird stuff in New York Film Festival. I just mean things that don't have like a reputation, like an existing reputation around it.
Give us some examples
of something from this year. Let's see.
Yeah.
We did a series of films by a director from Toronto named Khalil Haddad, who makes these very sort of abrasive and transgressive gay films about violence and desire. And those were a big hit. But, if anybody wants to know what's playing on any given day at Spectacle Theater, they can always go to spectacletheater.com or follow them at Spectacle NYC on all social media platforms.
You have a film that you've been working on for years, right?
Yeah, of course. After this whole spiel about how I'm not programming anything and like don't know anything about new movies, I also happen to be like working right now at distribution for my own movie that's new. And it premiered at Feed Marseille in July. Yeah, that was the world premiere. It was my first ever international premiere too. This movie took a really, really, really long time to make. And got rejected from a bunch of other festivals, but the folks at Feed are really cool and their taste is very eclectic. And the festival is known usually for like hybrid docufiction films, kind of the more experimental end of documentary. And this film is a narrative film and it's a period film and it's made in a very kind of rigorous and artificial way. But it's about a real person, Julian of Norwich, who is a Christian mystic. And she wrote what we think is the earliest book in English written by a woman. And the movie's about that, but it's also just about what you owe the world as like a part of it and what you owe yourself, as an artist and how do you navigate those two things, the Apollonian and the Dionysian. It's about the lives of women in different parts of the social strata in the Middle Ages. It's about faith and Surus. It's about the pandemic, but wasn't written about the pandemic. It just sort of became that because I was working on it during the pandemic, but it also has a plague scene in it. So, it's about a lot. Every period film is about the movie. The movie is about like the era in which it's set and the era in which it was made at the same time. Like you see a movie from the 70s that's set in the 30s and it's saying something about the American experience. This movie's set in the 14th century. I think it has something to say about the American experience too. So that's the skinny on the film. It's opening at the end of March in New York, first at Anthology Film Archives, playing within a series of medieval films that I programmed. That are just bangers that have nothing to do aesthetically really with the film. One does, the Andy Milligan Guru the Mad Monk. But the rest of the films are like really like splendid works of period filmmaking that are about the heady weird stuff in the Middle Ages, like dragons and wizards and knights and shit. So that's opening. My film opens on the 27th of March in Anthology. The series opens 25th of March, and then it plays Easter Sunday at Nitehawk Cinema, Prospect Park. So that's what's new with me.
Sweet. I asked you prior to this, maybe to think of some films that you saw this year that not necessarily are part of the popular canon, but just three films you saw this year that make your top list.
Yeah, so for me, I did make a list for Screen Slate of my top 10, and I wouldn't have said it was in any particular order, but I really did like If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You by Mary Bronstein. I love movies that validate my not being a parent and not having a child, and that movie does it probably the best. And it just got a great performance by Rose Byrne. I love It Was Just an Accident because that is just sort of like such a unique way of telling a story, and also just like has a surprising amount of humor in it for a movie that also just like very serious subject matter.
What's the plot of that one? I don't know that film.
Um, God, how do I even sum it up? Uh, a man comes across another man that he's familiar. He recognizes his voice, and he thinks that he's someone who once tortured. This is an Iranian movie by Jafar Panahi. He recognizes his voice as someone who formerly imprisoned and tortured him. So he captures this guy and goes kind of to grab all these other people that he was imprisoned with, and he's like, "Here's this guy. He's here. We got to kill him. We got to do something." And so these people have all kind of moved on with their lives in various ways, but are all kind of angry in different ways. But some of them want to kill him, some of them don't want to kill him, some of them want to get in further trouble, some of them doubt his identity. You kind of never really know for a good portion of it if it is the guy. And it's just done in such an amazing way. And was also risky filmmaking because, he had to kind of secretly make this movie in Iran. So,
outstanding. That's incredible.
And then my last movie is Final Destination Bloodlines because I had the best time watching that movie in the theater. I'm a fan of that series. And this movie is maybe like, if not the best, maybe the second best of the series. The way that I felt in there, your jaw is dropping, you're kind of screaming without realizing it because of all the things that happen in that movie.
Is Bloodlines, is that one rooted in like a family sort of lineage kind of
Yeah,
thing?
basically it kind of goes back in time. It also was Tony Todd's last film. And for a movie that has like no feelings, it has a surprisingly moving scene with him that I think is his like last on-screen appearance.
Oh, whoa.
But yeah, it is a movie that kind of traces back like where it all began for the Final Destination story.
Do we have to see the other ones? Like, I've literally never seen a Final Destination.
I think you could get enjoyment out of it just because like the thing that makes this series so watchable and fun is like all the sort of methods of the way people die. They really fuck with you, like because it's coming, but you don't know. Is it going to be the lawnmower that's getting out of whack? Is it going to be this kid that's throwing baseballs that are, like breaking glass, and it's fun that way. But I do think it would be worth at least watching like maybe the first three.
Okay.
Or, because the first one is very serious and then the second one gets just kind of more silly.
There's certain movies in that vein that I just like never started to see. Final Destination, I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie ever.
Well, also when you came to see Bone Temple and you said you had not seen any 28 movies.
So I hadn't seen them, and then the 2 days before I saw all of them. So like I caught up. I'm glad I saw those. I'm really glad I saw those. I mean, I also had a staunch thing against Avatar. I just had no interest whatsoever. And then I took my niece and nephew to see it, and then I had to like see them. So now I've seen them all, but like way begrudgingly. Like I don't care. All right, Caroline, top three.
I'm gonna do the Nepo thing and shout out three new films in 2025 that were made by people I know that made it on my Screen Slate list. Because I, similar to Christina, submitted a ballot and then like promptly forgot about what I wrote. So this is a nice little revisit. Familiar Touch, directed by Sarah Friedland. I've been a fan of her work for a really long time. And I have a personal sort of 1 degree of separation connection in this movie. Like I know the filmmaker, obviously, but the DP of this film shot my film right before. And the way that he described working on both of these films kind of back to back was he was working on 2 movies in a row that were about women who moved into one room for the rest of their lives. My film's about somebody who becomes religious recluse, but she's still fairly young. Familiar Touch is a film about a woman who moves into assisted living for memory problems like Alzheimer's. And it's about her kind of journey to, because she's very independent and like has like, she's lived this really rich life and has really like earned the appreciation that she has for the way she lives. And at first has a really hard time accepting that this is happening to her. And then it's kind of about how she acclimates to the new environment of being in assisted living and also how her son adapts to it. And John Benjamin plays her son, and he gives a really remarkable dramatic performance. I mean, I didn't know. I've loved John Benjamin since his work as Coach McGurk on Home Movies, but I didn't know he had that in the tank, and I was really moved by it. So it's just a really beautiful movie about that.
Is it from
Um,
her? Is it from her perspective?
like yes and no, you know. But the film is also very much about like movement and the body and like how the mind and body work in concert and how they don't. Sarah Friedland is her short films that she made before this one were very much about like movement, dance, how groups of people move through the world and how to engage with the world through movement. And so there's a lot of that in this film. It's a great movie. I really like it. Check it out. The next one is Measures for a Funeral by Sofia Bodanowicz, which I saw at first look. Really just interesting film about the mania that comes with being an artist and like being driven to kind of like solve mysteries about your own practice and the practices of others. It's also about kind of artistic lineage and like what it means to take up the mantle of people who did this work before you. And it's a great film about classical music too, and a film that goes all over the world. Dara Campbell, the lead actress, is really cool, and the film's about a violinist who's doing this kind of exhaustive research to mount a performance of this kind of obscure piece by this obscure female composer. And there's all of that research, but she's also dodging like her personal life back at home too. Um, it does a good job of being about filmmaking, even though it's ostensibly about classical music. So I really enjoyed that. The last one is a short film by my friend Ayana Dozier, who's made a great film called Forgetting You is Like Breathing Water, which is about sex work, the boundary of desire, and the weird razor's edge between like desire and fear. It's a beautifully made film. All of her work is. So those are my three favorites. There are mainstream movies that we can talk about later. I don't
Yeah,
want to
I mean,
monopolize.
we got time.
And then Christina and I were texting about this too. Blue Moon, we both really loved too.
Wait,
Like
was that the one? Was that with Ethan Hawke?
with Ethan Hawke. This is a movie that I saw after I turned in my year-end list. A lot of people have seen films at festivals all throughout the year that aren't released yet until the following year for award season, and I don't go to those festivals. So all the movies that people were talking about this year for 2025, I saw in 2026 already, like so
Yeah.
far. Like Marty Supreme, I saw that. Well, I saw it at Christmas, but you know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean.
that counts as that's 2025.
That's
So
basic. I guess so. It wasn't one of my favorites though, so it doesn't really matter.
it's like anything you've seen up until this point. How about that?
Anything I've seen up until this point,
Yeah.
Blue Moon is like pretty high up there for me, and I watched it on a screener, but like I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. And Richard Linklater had two movies come out this year. I didn't even see the other one.
That's a Linklater movie? Oh, Ethan Hawke. I didn't even know that.
I know, right? Like, and he's made some of my favorites of the last 20 years too. But yeah, Peter Hujar's Day too. I guess the two mainstream movies I like the best are the ones about like gay guys yapping.
Well, since we're on the topic of like mainstream movies, Christina, what you got from last year?
I actually have to go in the reverse order because what I gave you were mainstream movies.
Yeah, yeah.
I can tell you what I like that did not have wide distribution.
Give it to me.
Dance Freak, which is a movie that I did a screening of. I think it had a little bit of festival play, but it is an American film made by Robbie Raycliffe and Alan Resnick. It has a lot of like, comedy people that are excited about these days, like Connor O'Malley and Sarah Sherman's in it too. And it's just this very weirdly made, sort of like definitely kind of riffing on like a Eraserhead kind of type of thing where it's even in black and white. It's just like this bizarre, weird kind of like guy sort of fever dream about like seeing this guy who is just sort of like a weirdo dance guy that looks just like him and is killing people. It just is a weird one. It's just such a bizarre movie, and I was excited to do the screening of that with the Q&A with those folks. And then there's a documentary called Stolen Kingdom, which is about people who go to Disney World and kind of try to infiltrate the backspaces.
Every time I talk about Disneyland to an adult, that comes up.
Yeah, and so, these are people who all kind of like had cameras with them, so it has a lot of footage, and it also is kind of like hinged on this whole thing where this one kind of animatronic character named Buzzy went missing. And so it kind of ends up being this mystery that you kind of know, but over the course of this thing, like which, smug asshole that's featured in this documentary, which one stole it. Yeah, I mean, I think that one's getting a little bit more widespread distribution, but it was a great one, and it was sort of interesting, even in the year where the Secret Mall Apartment documentary was making its way. That was about people, these college kids who set up an apartment in a mall in Providence and were living there for like 4 or 5 years undetected. Yeah, so those are the two sort of under the radar and undistributed movies that I wanted to call out.
Next question, three things that you've seen that just aren't from last year. Something you've seen recently that you think people might want to see or you just want to talk about.
Well, keeping with the theme of movies that make you feel good about not having kids, last year in January, I had my fallopian tubes removed and I watched a bunch of movies about how great it is not having kids. Do you remember the name of the one that we watched, Christina?
The Unborn.
The Unborn. That was great. Three Island of the Alive is like also equally insane. See it in a theater if you can. I saw his film Bone at the Lightbox in Toronto on Saturday. A movie I've seen 100 times, a movie I never get tired of. He's just the greatest. Like nobody does it to you like Larry Cohen does. And It's Alive 3 Island of the Alive has like so many scenes where you can tell that it was like a fun shoot. They have to sail out to this like island in the middle of nowhere where they're keeping these mutant flesh-eating babies, and Michael Moriarty at one point is like singing a sea shanty with everybody, and like it looks
We
like
watched this. We watched this.
then maybe this is the one that we watched
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it's I mean it's a masterpiece. So I love that one. What else did I see that was really good as of late? You know what movie I watched that I loved way more than I thought I would is Alpha, the movie about the first dog ever, directed by Albert Hughes of the Hughes brothers.
Ooh.
After From Hell, the Hughes brothers stopped collaborating. They've made a film together since. And Albert Hughes is living in Prague now. And I'm watching Alpha. I put it on as like a joke because I'm going through kind of a caveman phase. And I saw it directed by Albert Hughes. I think, not that Albert Hughes, but it is. And like he directed the shit out of that movie. It's fantastic. It's about this kind of like caveman fail son Twinkie guy who's like not good at hunter-gatherer stuff. And he gets lost in an accident while they're like hunting or something. I don't know, doing caveman stuff. And winter's coming, and they leave him behind, and he can't get back to camp. And he befriends an injured wolf, and that wolf became the first dog ever.
That's
I cried so hard at this movie. It's from like 2018. I remember, Christina, what we were like in a theater in 2018. And oh, Frederick Wiseman, huge RIP, big rip. They did a big Wiseman retro at Lincoln Center last year. And the one I saw that I loved was Racetrack from 1985, which is Frederick Wiseman's film about Belmont. It kind of follows like a horse from its journey from like where it's training to be a racehorse to like Belmont. And, there's so many just great moments of like behind the scenes of Belmont. Like, what's it like there? Grace Jones's Pull Up to the Bumper is like the only music in the movie, and it plays diegetically because the people that work at Belmont just play that song on a loop all day while they're hanging out because it's 1985. You get to meet the horse, you meet the jockeys. There's so much work that goes into it. And then you get to the racetrack, and it's just like the weirdest freaks you've ever seen in your life. And I love going to the track. Christina loves it too. Those are my three favorites that I watched recently that were not new movies.
I guess one other thing I wanted to mention that did come out last year, that I wanted to shout out that was a mainstream movie but very overlooked was Ella McKay by James L. Brooks.
But how is that? I mean, it's on Hulu now, so everybody
It's
can see
it's
it.
a movie that has its heart in the right place. It has, if you saw this, there was a promo that they made where it was like Lisa Simpson was going with Marge to see this movie, and she's like, "Finally, a movie for me." If you look at it and if you watch it like you're Lisa Simpson,
Aw.
then you'll know that it's good. It's very quirky. It's very much a James L. Brooks movie. Is it perfect? No. Does it have flaws? Absolutely. But is it kind of lovely that Disney gave James L. Brooks money, him having made them so much money over the years? Yes, I recommend that. I also recommend, as a supplement, listening to his interview with Conan O'Brien on Conan's podcast, because James L. Brooks is in his 80s. He's like been around since, Mary Tyler Moore Show. Like he's been doing shit forever and is like a national treasure. Um, Another movie that I watched recently is this 1982 or 81 horror movie called Fear No Evil by this director Frank LaLoggia. That is like another entry in sort of the queer horror, like the sort of like thinly masked queerness horror, where basically it's like Lucifer is kind of in the form of this lanky teenage boy. It's just one of those nuts movies, like that seems to be impersonating a movie, but it's not quite doing it right, and but it's just great. Like I just love every minute of that. And then also Incredible Shrinking Man, a movie that I always was very dismissive of, that ended up bringing tears to my eyes because, you could see it as a metaphor for a lot of different things, but, I had my own particular thing that I was kind of reading into it, and I just actually found it really fascinating, and it ends in a way that is, like, actually pretty, like, philosophically beautiful that I found surprising. Yeah, so those are three things that have touched me recently.
So this is a la and post Lily Tomlin and like in who
Before, this was like, yeah,
was before?
yes. Yeah, it was
Wow.
like 50s, like, yeah.
Wow. Who played him?
Not a very well-known guy, actually, an actor who was gay, who I think did more TV stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of concert films lately. Like I've been going to see special screenings of like old concert films, like Sign of the Times by Prince. I saw that in IMAX, and then I saw Baz Luhrmann's Epic, the Elvis Presley
How
one.
was that? Because I really wanted to see that.
Outstanding. It was fun. Like I already have a thing for Elvis.
Hmm.
I find him very charismatic and kind of hilarious. And he reminds me of somebody I know. But outside of that, it wasn't like that kind of like breakneck speed of editing that Lerman does. It wasn't like that. It was just sort of fit to Elvis. And it was kind of fascinating too because it felt like a documentary because it's so period in a way.
Hmm.
So the audience was just as fascinating as he was. Um, yeah, and then his like relationship with the his band and like the background singers, and it was just wonderful. It was really, really great.
On that tip, the Deuce in January screened Elvis, That's the Way It Was. That's the like classic concert film. Yeah, we both saw it. We both loved it. You don't really understand. Even the movies are kind of like whatever, like I've seen a lot of them, but they're whatever. You hear the recording, fine. But like when you see Elvis live, like
It's
that's
so
when it all comes together.
it's like a
Like
spiritual experience, and like
he's so good.
to hear Suspicious Minds live,
Uh,
like it's like just put that on repeat for the rest of my life.
he's
Like
so good.
it's so good.
That version of Poke Salad Out Annie that he does in Elvis, That's the Way It Was, is like such an all-time ripper. Like he's
Yeah,
so good.
he really he's so funny. He's
And
so
he's
funny.
he's like a really funny guy. He makes a lot of jokes about like blowing the mic, which I think is kind of
Yeah,
telling.
yeah.
Like he plays with that a lot. And then also to see him interact with the band and the backup singers and the road, he's just like a country boy. He's
Hmm.
like a regular dude, and it's all in his head too. Like he doesn't read music. He just
Yeah.
knows how he wants these things arranged. He's a genius. I also, while we're on the new movie and also saw it in theaters tip, I want to also shout out a movie that Christina and I both like called Send Help. The Sam
I saw
Raimi,
that. I saw that. It was fucking
That's why I
phenomenal.
was,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
so good. I saw it at an Art Deco movie palace in Baltimore like 2 weekends ago, and Christina had recommended it, so I was really like keen to check it out. And when else am I going to see that movie except like when I'm in a smaller town? Because there aren't as many movies to see. And it was like the perfect set and setting. It was a beautiful old theater. They have milkshakes there. Like I was eating popcorn. It's a classic popcorn movie.
Rachel McAdams has always been such a dark hero who hasn't been allowed to play,
No,
you
they
know?
gave her so much to do in this, like not enough. I was trying to figure out what it was about Rachel McAdams, besides the fact that she's a genius, that made her so compelling in this film. And I think it's because she still has her natural face.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, she
she's
does.
recognizable as like who she was. Like she doesn't look like she got like a face from like a barber chart.
But also like blessed genetically, so
Of course,
that none of
yes.
that would be ever maybe be necessary.
No,
But
she's
she's an
like
actor.
she's
Like
a great actor, but like I think something is lost in the translation of the face when people get too much work done.
Big time.
You
Nicole
know?
Kidman, I don't know how she really feels. Like,
Yeah. She feels like Nicole Kidman, and
yeah.
that's all
Also,
she needs to do.
I don't know how many AMC's you've been to, but I have the membership, and people have started clapping when she hits the screen. They used to like yell "bitch" when she hit the screen,
Oh,
and now they start clapping, which is just like I'm confused either direction.
that's
But
because it's like the national anthem.
I
It's like the
guess
one thing that we can all like agree on and like revere.
yeah, but like it's also like nonsense. Like she's not
It's
saying anything. It's fluff.
no, no, it's
Um,
absolute nonsense. But it's she's not wrong though. Heartbreak does feel good in a place like
He's
this.
not wrong. I just feel like I know the guy that wrote that, and like I hate him for doing that to us.
Yeah.
Christina, send help? What do you think?
Well, I was lucky to get to go to a trade screening of it early because I used to go to more of these things, like big studios set up trade screenings for, exhibition people. And I was like, send me to this movie because I have a feeling it's going to be good. It's the first Raimi that's like original, like not superhero, not Wizard of Oz shit since Drag Me to Hell. And I was like so pleased to see that it delivered. And so I was just waiting. I was just like telling everybody, talking it up. And, then I sort of get afraid, like, am I talking it up too much? Are people going to not be into it? And I did go to see it again because I wanted to see it in a room full of people, not just industry people, but, a crowd enjoying it. And I was really pleased to find that it's like everybody likes this movie. Like people who like all different kinds of stuff, people who are haters, like everyone's into it because it just is that good. And Rachel McAdams is also very, very good in it. So yes, I was very happy to have to start the year with something so strong. Even if it is a popcorn movie, it's like it at least is original movie, and there should be more stuff like that.
I mean, there are a couple of movies that came out this year that like, or this and last year that made me feel that feeling of like, where when I used to work at the Landmark, like when I worked at the Kindle, there's certain movies that transport me back to that time. It's a particular type of art house and a particular type of absurd that make me feel like I'm 19 and learning something.
Yeah, they just don't really do stuff like that anymore. So it's a very welcome movie.
It's a movie for grown-ups, and it's a movie about the universal feeling of hating your boss.
Hmm.
And in that regard, like the film completely nails what that's like when you work with
And
no.
class hierarchy, how people hold on
Hmm.
so dearly to that, like at the expense of their life. Like,
The thing that popped into my head while I was watching this, and I'm sure Christina, you picked up on this too, is I thought of Lena Wertmüller's Swept Away, which is like one of the great, it's I'm sure like Raimi's seen it. If he hasn't, I would be shocked. It's an absolute masterpiece. But it's about that exact thing of being trapped on a desert island with your boss.
yeah,
Only because it's Italy in 1974, it's like this uptight Milanese, industrialist wife who's like a total bitch to all the staff, and the incredibly hot captain of the yacht that her husband rented for her and her friends. And they end up stranded on a desert island. This film was notoriously remade by Guy Ritchie with Madonna in the role.
he's so good at stretching reality to its absurd levels, and like the gruesome, like the warthog scene.
Oh my God.
Like it
The
basically
rat.
the rat. It had like cartoon eyes almost, but
And he,
just on the realm of believable. I mean, the airplane scene when they're crashing, the
oh my God.
intricacies of all of that, and how people's faces are like snatched off, and like
He's so funny too. And of course, you get the Evil Dead floor cam. I didn't clock this until like another couple in the lobby explained it to me, but Bruce Campbell gets a cameo as like the dad
yeah.
who dies with the portrait. I did not get that right away.
He's in
But
all. Even in the Marvel movies, he makes an appearance every time.
of course,
Yeah,
that's what filmmaking is really about, is getting your friends jobs.
big time. And I feel like that's kind of why I was talking to Christina about this when we went to see The Bone Collector. Like we were talking about this film, and I made the connection because Rachel McAdams is in all of the Doctor Strange movies. So he was probably like, "You are just playing this damsel. Let me give you a real like you
Hmm.
are better than this. When I get
Yes.
the money, you're gonna show what you can do."
Yeah, I'm gonna break you out of this like, mocap suit prison,
Yeah, exactly.
the Marvel ghetto.
Yeah.
Now it's time for the part of the show we call House of Ultraviolet Walks. It's the segment where we highlight the achievements of unsung cultural architects in ball culture. And today, the category is, appropriately, documentary film realness. 1968, The Queen documented the Miss All-American Camp Beauty pageant in New York City. On the surface, it's glamour and competition, but in its final moments, it becomes something else in the film. Crystal LaBeija loses and refuses to grin and bear through it. She calls out racial bias in the judging on camera. That refusal becomes a spark. From that moment comes the House of LaBeija, and the modern house system begins to take shape. The film doesn't dramatize it. It just lets the truth sit there, hang in the air. You feel the tension. You feel that shift. This isn't nostalgia. It's origin. It's genesis. So, to Frank Simon, to Mother Flawless Sabrina, and especially Crystal and Lottie LaBeija, we thank you for serving archival truth and foundational house history, and for serving literary, legendary realness, tens across the board. Let's get back to the show.
So, Christina, what's your double feature? What would you program that you haven't already?
Well, I've programmed these movies, but not together. But it will surprise neither of you to hear that it would be Staying Alive and Magic Mike XXL.
Yes!
Two sequels that are both backstage musicals with hotties just doing their things.
Amazing.
Two perfect films about masculinity and
That's
what
right.
masculinity should be.
And dancing. Like, yeah.
The joy of moving the body
Amazing.
and the joy of watching a man move that body.
Yeah, for people who haven't seen either or one or the other, YXL. We know why, but YXL.
The first one is just a little too serious. I think the sort of drug addict, like newbie plot weighs it down a bit. Women went out to that movie to see Channing Tatum stripping. And I think like that was like notoriously like sort of this like crowd pleaser. And so I think on the second one, they kind of like got it. Like, okay, we don't need to have like really anything at stake here. It's sort of like, like everything is kind of leading to this path. It's this competition. It's not even a competition. It's like an expo or something.
Yeah.
They're at like Stripper Con.
Yeah, run by Selma Hayek? No,
no, it's Elizabeth Banks.
And wait, Jada Pinkett Smith, right?
She runs the club.
Yeah, she's one of the stops along the way.
Yeah.
I need to watch this again.
Yeah,
fired up.
And it's just a movie that, it even features all different kinds of women, like every shape and size and race and age, which is like, when you see it in the movie, you're like, oh yeah, they never do this in mainstream movies. It's just like so striking. You're like, I never see a person like this, especially getting like flipped upside down by Michael Strahan or whatever. Perfect movie. Like,
and to the film's credit, it also shows all different types of men.
That's right.
But like whatever your flavor is, they've got it. It's like Baskin Robbins. There's big men, skinny men, funny men, deep tragic men. That's what the film's about. It reckons with the first one. I saw the second one first. I saw it with Christina at a trade screening during one of my summers of semi-retirement, which is what I call being employed in the summertime. So we're the only women in there. It was like us and then like a bunch of like kind of old Jewish altacockers who were like film bookers. I can say that because I am one. And after the movie, that guy in front of us turned around and was like, "Did you girls like that?" And we were like, Yeah, I saw the movie in the theater more times than any other movie that's come out in a theater.
There was a period I think I saw it 3 times in a row. Like I think I know the first time I saw it was with Christina because I think it was during COVID and you came over and watched it with me and Nicole. And then after that, it was one of those things where I was the salesman, so I was going door to door with different friends.
They should pay us. We've done a lot for this movie in the last 10 years.
Absolutely. Okay. So maybe we're at the point where I'll just name some movies and you just tell me rapid fire what you think. So, Begonia, any thoughts?
I liked Poor Things. I hated Kinds of Kindness. I figured I'd split the difference and just not see this one.
Kinds of Kindness was some garbage.
We saw that together, didn't we?
So many vignettes. Yeah, I wanted to leave after the first one. It was horrible. But Begonia is absurdist enough for you. I mean, if you down the line when you care less, I suggest seeing it. It's weird. It's real weird, and it's not as serious as the other ones. It's like funnier. Frankenstein. We saw that together at the Paris Theater. What do you think about that?
What I liked about it was Jacob Elordi's performance. Like that was the thing that stood out the most to me and made me enjoy it the most. That made it worth watching.
he's hot, but it's obvious that he is. So it's one of those things where like I kind of don't want to get into his performances, but he's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
He has a real earnestness that I mean lends well to Frankenstein, but I saw not for nothing, I saw Wuthering Heights. Um was like
And
stylized enough for me to care, you know.
I will watch it eventually.
yeah,
Otherwise it's straight white nonsense. But
I'm
like
saving it for an airplane.
I mean it's really beautiful what they did with it. It looks great. That's
Sure.
that's really
Yeah,
it.
that's always a great compliment to give to a movie. It looks great. I didn't see Frankenstein, but every Guillermo del Toro movie looks like it was designed by a committee to trap me. Um,
What do you mean?
so I'm not a fan of his work, and there are many directors out there that, people I respect like the stuff, and like you can tell that this guy's ahead, right? Like I get it. He's a huge cinephile. Like, of course, if he were on this show, the four of us would be chopping it up about all of our faves. And he loves all the same crap I do, and like I gotta hand it to the guy. And Pan's Labyrinth was good. But I've given this cat so many second, third, and fourth chances that after a certain point, I was just like, you know what? I'm not reaching for it. Maybe it's not for me.
I like that trap sentiment. I know what you're talking
It's a
about.
trap. Like it's a trap. They're trying to trap me. So I didn't see Frankenstein.
All right, Hamnet.
Didn't like it.
Didn't see it.
You didn't like it?
I did not like it. I thought it was so overwrought. Everybody kind of set me up to be like in tears the whole time, and I just thought it was trying too hard to make me cry. I only sort of got moved towards the end when she's sort of like watching the performance on stage, like sort of came near to it, but I just found it pretty excruciating.
Does he say to be or not to be in the movie?
Yeah, but
I
that's
think
like,
yeah,
but in the
it's not the
context,
same kind of like discovery line, like where you have like in the Doors or Jersey Boys where it's like they're
Jersey
playing the
Boys,
music
though?
and it's like, wait, to be or it's not
no,
Yeah.
quite that.
it's in the context of a play.
Yeah.
Like he says it in a play. So, okay. Marty Supreme, since we mentioned it earlier.
I think it has its moments. It's too long.
Too long. Not
No.
enough ping pong.
Word.
Like for a movie about a ping pong player, surprisingly little ping pong in the ping pong movie. And those were the best parts. The parts where it was shot like a gripping sports underdog movie, which is what I thought it was going to be,
Mm-hmm.
were great. But it turned out to be a Shaggy Dog movie because why was that movie so long? Why did they
It's
spend so much time looking for that dog?
a shaggy dog. You're right. It was the shaggy dog gets loose. That's
Literally, a Shaggy Dog gets loose, and that's the movie. Do better. Also, how are you going to put Fran Drescher and Sarah Bernhardt in the same movie, in the same scene, and that scene is less than 20 minutes? They were wasted in that film. The casting was so good, but I'm telling you, like they got the Shark Tank guy in there for half the movie. I don't give a shit about this guy. I thought it was cool that Pico Iyer played the head of the Pinball Association. So much stunt casting. They don't give him enough to do. It should have been just like a crazy, crazy pinball movie.
what did it do? That's sort of one
What
of my.
did it do?
What did
What?
it do?
And the ending was kind of a cop out. I got out of that movie and I thought one of them must have had a kid. And it's interesting, Ronnie Bronstein, who wrote the movie with Les Frères du Safdie, he has a kid, famously. His wife is the writer director of I Had Legs Like Kick You. So the fact that this woman made a film I haven't seen, but based on Christina's fantastic summary, seems to take a less than rosy view of wifely duties. That guy wrote a movie where the end is this dude looking at the baby that he didn't have to give birth to and going, wow.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's
Dads kind of have the most basic of epiphanies when it comes to kids.
mm-hmm.
What I
And
mean, excellent review. Well, I feel like we have to talk about Sinners. Have you seen it?
yeah,
Yeah, we both.
What thoughts?
it's best scene of any film this year.
That one. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's many scenes to pick in that film. My favorite scene in that movie is when Sammy's playing the guitar and then it just becomes like the complete history of music, black music. And at first you're like, okay, cool, I see what's going on. And then Bootsy Collins shows up and you go, all right, cool, I'm in for whatever this movie wants to do. Like
Yeah.
I'll follow it as into any direction it wants to go in because it's a big swing. Um, Not to keep bringing up my boyfriend because I know it's trite, but like he made a very astute observation about this film that I think bears repeating, which is that it's a horny movie. They don't make very many horny films anymore for grown-ups. So I thought that was great. Great popcorn movie. And
Yeah.
even if it didn't have any of like, there's a version of this movie that's just about two guys opening up a juke joint that doesn't have any kind of horror elements. that movie would be spectacular.
I would agree.
The zombie thing in it is also spectacular. Zombies are a fantastic metaphor in film history, and they've been used often as a metaphor for the other. So within the context of this movie, you get the fun flip of like, oh, the other is the thing that's normally the default, right?
Christina?
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. I thought it was kind of uneven, and I liked it at its best when it was just a period piece. Even though it was original content movie, it kind of tread into that superhero-like zone where you sort of all of a sudden have these sort of random superpowers, or like kind of like the rules seem to be kind of murky on like who could do what when. But there's so much that's very good in it that I like definitely am pro that movie.
Yeah, I didn't think it was perfect. I
Yeah, a
think
few things are. It doesn't have to be.
that's true. And I do think it could get corny at times, but I think all of the dynamics between characters were really well done. Which is hard to do when one of the characters or two of the characters is played by the same
I
person.
mean, that's great. Like you never see that anymore, too,
No,
right? Like,
it felt like it could easily have been a hat on a hat, but it was actually like it actually added depth to
yeah.
this, and made the stakes a little bit made me more at ease with the stakes because there were two of them. You know what I mean? Like we could get one of each sort of outcome
You
with it.
get an heir and a spare.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah. If one got to go, you still got the other one.
It answered a question I've been having for a very long time. Haley Steinfeld, like, she like she always seemed black to me. There was like the black radar came on every time I saw her, and her that is based on her real lineage. So her grandfather is black.
Hmm.
And so they baked that into the story, which is cool. She
And
didn't,
they cast a woman who had that exact makeup, which like how often do you find that? And that person's a good actor.
and the voodoo element of it, loved
Mhm.
it. Um,
Yeah, a fantastic film about the history of Black American music, which is the most important music ever made, in my opinion. It's one of those films that also nails on screen, which is very rare, like going dancing, and like why it's great to go dancing and like what it feels like to go dancing. Why do people go dancing? Oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention is when I was reading these questions and thinking about Sinners, I went, oh, wait, the movie that made me set a Google alert for Buddy Guy on tour. And then I went and checked, and he is on tour this spring and summer. And I got two tickets to see Buddy Guy in Atlantic City. So thank you for reminding me in this roundabout way.
Beautiful. One battle after another.
It's whatever. I enjoyed it.
I liked
I
it.
had
I'm kind of notoriously not a big Paul Thomas Anderson fan, but I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the ride of the movie. I don't think that there's anything particularly deep going on the way that people think. I feel like people
Yeah.
are talking about it, but I did enjoy watching it.
I
I
think the
was
deepest thing you can say about this movie is Benicio del Toro being like not preoccupied with leftist protocol and like actually doing the work. Like that I think is the message of the movie is you gotta be more like sensei.
well put. Um, did you see did either of you see Sentimental Value?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I liked it. I
I
I was
hated
not
it.
I was not a huge fan of The Worst Person in the World, but this movie I found a little bit more moving and interesting.
I'm happy for you. Look, it was a totally enjoyable movie to go see, like with a buddy of an evening, but I think it's a movie about the problems that you make up in your life when you live in a country that has no problems. First of all these people have health care. Second of all, she's like a paid actress at the National Theater of it's Norway?
Mhm, it's
Of
Norway.
Norway, and insists on fucking her life up. Like, get a clue. Like I would love to have that life. Also, you find out that the central trauma in this woman's life is that her parents got divorced. I thought it was going to be way worse. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be mean. I'm sure her life is valuable.
If it were an American movie, the father would have been sexually inappropriate.
Yeah, like I guess that's my problem is that I'm an American, so everything is evil to me because it is here. But like, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so the scene at the end where they're tearing apart the house and then they reveal that it's like a set. Everybody in the audience went, it was like a jump scare. Like, oh no, not the house. And I think that says a lot. Like that was the strongest audience reaction at my screening was like, oh no, not the house. And whatever. And I like I like Skarsgård, the guy, Skarsgård, the father. He's cool. I
I
liked
get the
him.
feeling that his dynamic with his kids is something like that, though.
It's crazy. Yeah, I'm sure he's like not Father of the Year. I loved Elle Fanning too. I thought she was great. She was underused. She's really funny. She should do more of this stuff. What about F1? Which I didn't see, but I really wanted to.
I didn't figure either of you saw it. Did you see
I
it?
Well, I would see it, and that's
I
another
would
one that I feel
too.
like kind of came and went because it, it is sort of up my alley as like a
Yeah.
sports action like movie, but I have not seen it.
I want to see a big car on a big screen. Go
Do you
real
know
fast.
You know, it is outside of my like the obvious gay reasons. My grandfather and my uncles and my dad raced cars. They drag raced in Daytona. So I from very from like since I can remember 5 on, I was forced to sit in the like the high seats, get whatever I wanted at concession, and then just watch my uncle's car like burst into flames all the time when I really
Cool.
wanted to go to fucking Disney World, you know? So
Yeah.
like cars are just like the last thing I want to see on film, you know.
Hence you not having watched any Fast and Furious movies.
There we go.
Comes
There,
back around. Now we know the answer.
hmm
always go back to dads.
We've done some good work today.
Yeah, we I think we have.
We've probed.
Well, thank you for doing this. I hope we can do it again next year.
Sure. But it all just, it all just blends together for me because I smoke too much weed.
And I do think this is going to be a good year too.
I think so too. Yeah.
And I think it already started out strong, and there's more stuff to be excited about. Last year
Yeah.
felt kind of weak to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that we have on years and off years when like the worst garbage from 1994 looks like the fucking Sistine Chapel now.
hmm
And do you want to let people know where they can find you on social if you feel like it?
I'm still calling it twitter.com, at Caroline Avenue. I'm also reluctantly at Caroline Avenue on Blue Sky, which is like not nearly as fun. And my film, Revelations of Divine Love, which is opening at the end of March, is on Instagram at Revelations of Divine Love, but there's like an underscore under each word. You'll figure it out. If you type in Revelations of Divine Love to Instagram, you'll find it there.
And I am Christina Never, and that's Christina without an H, Cristina. Christina Never on Instagram and Letterboxd, and nothing else.
Ditto. All right. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye, Ricky. See ya.